Have you ever wondered why Malaysia, a historically neutral and multi-aligned Southeast Asian nation, is now leaning closer to China and seemingly distancing itself from the United States? In the complex world of international diplomacy, such shifts don't happen overnight. They are influenced by deep economic interests, geopolitical realities, security calculations, and even cultural perceptions. Over the past decade, we've seen a subtle but undeniable pivot. Malaysia is engaging more actively with China, while its ties with the USA appear to be growing less prominent. This trend raises critical questions not just for Malaysians, but for global observers. Is Malaysia simply following the money trail? Is it being coerced or influenced by China's regional ambitions? Or is it making a calculated decision based on national interest and non-alignment? Let's dive deep into the economic, political, strategic, and cultural dynamics shaping this shift, because the answer is far more layered than it might appear. Is economics the biggest driver of the shift? Absolutely. One of the clearest reasons Malaysia is drifting toward China is the deepening economic partnership between the two countries. China has been Malaysia's largest trading partner since 2009. In 2023 alone, bilateral trade surpassed $100 billion, dwarfing Malaysia's trade with the USA. China's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, has also significantly influenced Malaysia's infrastructure development. Major projects like the East Coast Rail Link, ECRL, and port expansions are either fully funded or co-funded by Chinese investments. These projects offer Malaysia not just modern infrastructure, but also jobs, regional connectivity, and long-term economic benefits. While the USA engages Malaysia primarily through investment in technology and manufacturing, it doesn't match China's infrastructure funding and strategic capital outreach. Naturally, Malaysia sees China as a more immediate and impactful economic partner. Is the USA losing soft power in Malaysia? Surprisingly, yes. Once admired for its global leadership, democracy, and innovation, the USA is now viewed with more skepticism by many Malaysians. The U.S. foreign policy approach in Southeast Asia has been criticized as inconsistent, overly militarized, and often dismissive of regional concerns. The withdrawal from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, TPP, under President Trump was a significant blow to American credibility in Malaysia. That move left Malaysia and other ASEAN countries searching for new economic alternatives, opening the door wider for Chinese-led economic initiatives like the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP. Culturally, while American entertainment and education still hold influence, younger generations in Malaysia are becoming more regionally focused. China's growing media presence, tech dominance, with apps like TikTok and platforms like Huawei, and cultural exchanges are gradually enhancing its soft power in the country. What about security and defense? Traditionally, Malaysia has maintained a non-aligned policy, refusing to become a direct military ally of either the USA or China. However, recent developments suggest a cautious recalibration. The South China Sea dispute has complicated Malaysia's defense posture. While Malaysia asserts its maritime claims, it avoids direct military confrontation or alignment with the USA to contain China. Instead, it prefers diplomatic solutions and multilateral ASEAN forums to de-escalate tensions. The USA offers military exercises, surveillance tech, and defense education to Malaysia. But these efforts are often seen as part of a larger USA agenda to encircle or contain China, something Malaysia does not want to be involved in. Malaysia's strategic aim is regional stability, not picking sides in a superpower showdown. Is ideology playing a role? Not entirely, but there is a growing ideological comfort between Malaysia and China. Malaysia, a multi-ethnic, Muslim-majority democracy, doesn't share China's political model. However, both nations respect the principle of non-interference in domestic affairs. This contrasts with U.S. foreign policy, which often involves criticisms on human rights, press freedom, and governance issues. For example, the USA has occasionally criticized Malaysia's internal politics, such as controversial laws or election processes, while China has taken hands-off approach. From Malaysia's perspective, China offers partnership without preaching. This form of diplomatic respect is appealing, especially to leaders who are navigating domestic challenges and prefer external partnerships that don't bring ideological baggage. Has ASEAN unity pushed Malaysia closer to China? Yes, Malaysia is a firm believer in ASEAN centrality. The idea is to promote peace and neutrality through a united Southeast Asian front. Within ASEAN, many members like Cambodia and Laos are already closely aligned with China, both economically and politically. To maintain regional solidarity and avoid being isolated within ASEAN, Malaysia often aligns its foreign policy with prevailing regional currents. This doesn't mean abandoning ties with the USA, but rather embracing China as a pragmatic choice, one that reflects the evolving ASEAN consensus. Additionally, through multilateral forums like RCEP, ASEAN-China Free Trade Area, and ASEAN Plus 3, Malaysia finds more economic synergy with China than with Western powers. Is it about long-term vision? Indeed, Malaysia is planning for the next 20 to 30 years, and the center of gravity in global politics is shifting to Asia. China is projected to surpass the USA in GDP terms within the next decade. For Malaysia, staying closely connected to the future dominant power seems not just wise but necessary. Furthermore, Malaysia's Look East policy, first introduced in the 1980s and later revitalized, encouraged partnerships with Asian economies like Japan, South Korea, and now, increasingly, China. This vision sees Asian collaboration, not Western dependence, as the pathway to national prosperity. Malaysia wants to be at the table where Asia's future is being shaped, and China is currently leading that table. So is the USA being shut out? Not entirely, but its relative influence is declining. Malaysia still maintains robust ties with the USA in higher education, technology, and trade. American companies like Intel, Microsoft, and Tesla have operations in Malaysia. Additionally, thousands of Malaysian students still study in U.S. universities each year. However, the strategic gap is widening. Washington's sporadic attention to Southeast Asia, often focused on military issues rather than economic cooperation, has limited its leverage. China, by contrast, is offering economic incentives, political alignment, and regional cooperation all in one package. Unless the USA can re-engage with Malaysia and Southeast Asia through comprehensive, respectful, and consistent diplomacy, its role may become increasingly marginal in the region. How do Malaysian elites and public perceive the shift? Public opinion matters, and in Malaysia, perceptions toward China are becoming more favorable, especially among the business elite and political class. Many Malaysian businessmen view Chinese companies as better partners, faster in delivery, less bureaucratic, and more pragmatic. While some segments of the population, especially ethnic Malays and youth, still look to the West for education and inspiration, there's a growing acceptance that China is the regional reality. Scholarships, joint ventures, and cultural diplomacy initiatives by China have also played a role in softening resistance. Unlike in other Southeast Asian countries where there is strong anti-China sentiment, Malaysia has maintained a relatively balanced and respectful tone toward Beijing. Could the USA rebuild its role in Malaysia? It's possible, but it will require a strategic reset. If the USA wants to regain lost ground in Malaysia, it must reinvest in the region holistically, not just through military alliances or tech investments, but by offering real economic alternatives, trade deals, scholarships, and infrastructure support. Respecting Malaysia's sovereignty, avoiding political lecturing, and listening to its regional concerns would go a long way. Moreover, partnering with Malaysia on climate change, education, digital economy, and food security could open new doors for deeper cooperation. Until then, Malaysia's drift toward China may not just continue, it may accelerate. What role does technology play in the shift? An increasingly vital one. China is now a major player in Malaysia's tech ecosystem. From 5G development with Huawei to partnerships in AI and digital infrastructure. China is investing heavily in Malaysia's digital future. The USA, while a global tech leader, has been slower to establish such grassroots-level partnerships in Malaysia. And with Washington's push to restrict Chinese tech globally, Malaysia sees more opportunity than threat in deepening digital ties with Beijing. Malaysia wants to be a part of Asia's digital revolution, and China is offering the tools to get there. Education and talent development shaping alliances. Surprisingly, yes. While the USA still attracts many top Malaysian students, China is catching up quickly with affordable, high-quality education options and hundreds of scholarships for Malaysian students. Additionally, Chinese universities and think tanks are building deeper partnerships with Malaysian institutions. The goal is long-term talent development, not just diplomacy. This creates generational goodwill and cultural familiarity, strengthening future bilateral ties in ways that are often overlooked. Is Malaysia using China to balance the West? Absolutely. Malaysia is not choosing China instead of the USA. It is using China alongside the West to create strategic balance. This allows Malaysia to hedge its bets and preserve its sovereignty. Rather than siding completely with one superpower, Malaysia is engaging both to maximize national benefit. China is simply delivering more in recent years, making the drift feel one-sided, even if it's strategically intentional. So, why is Malaysia drifting toward China and away from the USA? The answer lies in a complex mix of economic pragmatism, regional dynamics, strategic non-alignment, and cultural diplomacy. Malaysia isn't choosing sides in a Cold War-style confrontation. It's choosing what serves its national interests best. China offers funding, infrastructure, market access, and a non-intrusive diplomatic approach. The USA offers values, technology, and defense, but often with conditions. In a world that's rapidly shifting toward a multipolar order, Malaysia is playing smart. It's not abandoning the West. It's simply adapting to the East. In the years ahead, we may see Malaysia continue to strengthen ties with China, but that doesn't mean it's turning into a Chinese satellite. Rather, it's a calculated, sovereign pivot, one that reflects the changing power structures of the 21st century.